Hello friends, and welcome to the Hanged Man in the Moon. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, if you are a returning visitor, you probably know that I am in the middle of my deep dive into the Lenormand system. The system that was created by the Germans under the name of, translated into English, the Game of Hope. And then when they tried to sell it in France, when they exported it to France, they changed the name to Lenormand because it was the name of a very famous diviner, cartomancer in France. And so it sold like the proverbial hot crepes and then it took off, right? And now there are Lenormand decks being sold all over the world, here in Korea as well. So it's a popular system, and this year-long deep dive into the Lenormand system that I'm in the middle of has really helped open my eyes to how to use the system and to feel more comfortable with the system, and even the way I conceive of or approach reading these cards. Yeah, and I think that my work with the Lenormand is also helping mature me as a tarot reader as well. So I highly recommend working with this system, even if you don't plan to read with it for other people a lot. Yeah, I think our expanding the diversity of kinds of cartomancy that we can do helps us to master the system or systems that we are more interested or most interested in. Does that make sense? So I really highly recommend doing this, even if you don't plan on reading Lenormand professionally or even regularly. Yeah? It's a really helpful thing to do. And so, friends, I've got a spread already laid out for us. The new moon, actually the Lunar New Year, has come and gone, so I've got a whole new deck for us to use for this spread. And I will show you that deck and I will show you the spread. I've got a new spread as well in just a moment. But first, I'd like to thank you. I'd like to thank you for doing all those things that you do, for hitting the thumbs up button, for subscribing to the channel. Those things help YouTube know that they can show our videos and our community to other people, and other people, when they're interested, have the ability to join us. And the community is growing steadily, which is a wonderful thing, thanks to you. Thank you very much. Also, for commenting in the description, not in the description box, but commenting in the comment section below or to the side or wherever your comments end up being, that's wonderful too. Thank you for doing that. It all helps. And at the end of this video, there will be a QR code and a web address for my online tarot shop. If you want to get a reading from me, you can access it there. It's really, really simple. Yeah, my address, very simple, derekjohnthomas.com. Yeah, so that's at the end of the video. Take a look at that and check out the shop. I've got a very diverse offering up there. Okay, so friends, here we are. We're about to look at the spread. Are you all ready? Well, friends, here it is. Friends, this is our first foray into the 9-card spread, one of the traditional spreads for Lenormand. Yeah, we're not going to go into the full tableau because the Grand Tableau uses all 36 cards, and that would be a nightmare for me to try and figure out how to film for this kind of a setting. Yeah, I know other people do it. I'm not set up for it, and I think the 9-card spread and later the 13-card spread those are going to be plenty for us, right? Okay, so this is a 9-card spread. It's a traditional box spread, and it's read in several different ways. Now, if you're curious about the deck is a mass market deck. It's easily available. It's called the Grand Tableau Lenormand. I'll put a link in the description box below so that you can hop on over to, I'm sure it's going to be Amazon, and find the deck. Very simple. Very nice deck, right? A very nice traditional looking deck. It's got color, but the colors are muted. It's a bit antiqued, right? I can show you what the backs look like. This is what the backs look like. Yeah, we've got the playing card inserts on the cards, making that very easy to read and access that information. The images are very clear, very simple. Can't get confused, right? And the card size is very nice. It's, I won't say the perfect size for a grand tableau, but it is an excellent size for a grand tableau if you want to venture into that, right? The cards are a good size, and yeah, very good deck to use. I highly recommend it. It shuffles nicely. Good mass market deck. Okay, so friends, that was a 9-card spread. And like I said, we're going to read that in a few different ways. We'll read it in columns, in rows. We'll read corners. We'll read matching bits. We might dive into knighting, which is something you can do with a 9-card spread as well as the grand tableau. So we've got to, we might even, I don't know, we might even do the spiral read on this, but we might not get there for this time. We might go for a spiral read next video or the video after that. And I'll describe what that means later if we do it. Okay? So those are the ways I know that we're going to read this spread. We're going to read the spread in columns, in rows, and in corners, and in diamonds. Okay? So friends, we got a lot of work ahead of us. Are you all ready? So friends, I'll show you the spread once more so you get it seared into the back of your brain. And let's start reading. Here's the spread once more. So friends, I'm really glad I have that table that I bought last year, because this little table that I have in front of me now, which I use for recording, is a perfect size to be able to lay out this whole little spread and not have to hold up all of the cards all at once. You know what I'm saying? I think this table will hold up to my 13-card spread, so I'm not going to be putting the camera down onto the spread, but I can lift up the cards and put them back down as I talk about them within the spread, right? So that's how we're going to be playing this game. And let me just tell you off the bat, remember, you saw from left to right in the top row, we have the cross, we have the dog, and we have the lily. Then in the middle, we had the bear, the house, the clouds, and then below, we had the whip, the book, and the tree. Now, you know I like to get a general overarching read of the spread, yeah? And what I see generally, without going into much detail, is we've got a fairly negative spread here. Yeah, we've got some positive, we got some negative, we got some negative neutral, positive neutral, but the spread leans towards the negative. When we look at the not the symbols, but I don't want to use the word meanings either. When we look at the general associations of each one of the cards. Yeah, for example, the cross is negative, right? The dog is positive. Cross dog. So they cancel each other out, right? And then the lily is positive neutral. So we've got a positive neutral on the top row, but the whole thing skews a little bit towards the negative. Not entirely. And when we look at the playing cards as well, with hearts being the most positive, and for me, the clubs being the most negative, the diamonds being a little positive, and the spades being a little negative, if we look at that balance as well, we see that the spread leans towards the negative. Yeah? Not heavily in that direction, but towards that direction. The clubs and the hearts balance each other out pretty well, but then it all comes down to there's one extra club that is not balanced out by anything else. Yeah, so that's the spread leans negative. And how are we going to read the spread? First, we pick up the central card of the spread, and this is our significator. Now, when I laid the spread, I laid the cards from top to bottom. Yeah, I related them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this was the 5th card that I laid, but this is the significator card. I did not choose this one deliberately. You can choose it deliberately. You can choose the significator as, like, if you're reading for a woman that identifies as female, you could pick out the lady card and put that in the middle. If you're reading about a person for their work, yeah, I would maybe choose the anchor card and put that in the middle and then lay the cards around it. But I did not do that. So this is what came up naturally in the spread, and this is our central idea for the spread, the significator of the spread, and it's about the house. And what is the house? The house, that's where we live. It's our place of our safety, right? We go in there to feel safe, to feel protected, to sleep. That's where we spend our private time. This is our private space. We can invite people in, but we don't invite people into the bedroom often, at least not most of us do, I don't think. We have a living room, perhaps if we have a house. We have a living room where we have our liminal space, where it's both private and semi-public. So we have ways of organizing our own private spaces in a house as well, where there are some spaces that we share with others, but there are some that are more private. That makes sense, yes? The house can also represent our family, although I might put that more towards the tree. It depends. Okay, so family in the sense of immediate family, whereas the tree would be the family tree, ancestors included, yes? But the house, so what is the house in Lenormand? It can actually be our homes, the place where we live, the physical location where we live. It could be our direct environment. It could also be our privacy. It could indicate real estate. If you are a real estate person, this is a card for you. It could be inheritance, the things that we get from our family when they pass away. It could be our base ground. And again, the place we feel stable, secure. Now, because we have a King of Hearts, where is this playing card insert? It's in the center. Because we have this King of Hearts, it can also be an older man, a father figure, a family man, maybe even a house husband, probably on the older side, yeah? Now, when I say older side, I mean past the 20s and 30s, right? So 20s, 30s, that, or maybe a child would be a Jack, but an older man would be 40s, 50s, 60s, like I am, and on. So this is our center. This is what this spread is about. Our house, our security, where we feel safe. Yes, I think that's what this spread is about. Where we feel grounded, where we feel safe. Now remember, the question I ask every week when I do this spread is, how can we live our lives more intentionally in the coming week? And the way for us to live more intentionally is to pay attention to to our home ground, where we feel grounded, where we feel safe. And if you don't feel safe in your home ground, in your home, we need to find help. Yes? If you're facing any issues of lack of safety in your home, reach out. We will find you help. Okay? But I don't see that as being the general read for this spread. Although, like I said, this is not a happy spread. This is not a joyful spread. This is a watch out spread. Because We also choose the upper left-hand card to modify, like an adjective modifies a noun. This card modifies or adds qualities to the house card. And what is that? It's the cross card. And the cross is what? It's generally considered to be the burden card in the deck. It's the last card. It's a card where, in playing the game of hope, if you pass over the winning spot, which is the anchor, you move on to the cross card and then you get stuck there. Yeah, it's a burden. It can be fate, it can be destiny, but it's our cross to bear. You know how we say that in English? This is my cross to bear. It's my burden. It can also be a spiritual thing. Yeah, maybe we want to give some attention to our spiritual home base. How grounded are we in our spirituality? That might be something for us to consider. But we might also be feeling the burden we might be feeling burden in our living space. Rather than our workspace or our entertainment space, in our living space, we might be feeling burden in this coming week. And that's not going to be helpful for us. So when we get a cautionary spread, after asking how can we live our lives more intentionally in the coming week, it means, okay, so we look at where this potential pitfall can be, and how can we circumnavigate that, or how can we traverse this time living intentionally? Because when we live intentionally, we know that we want to live open to the power of intention and not get trapped into closing down and being really protective, cutting ourselves off for the major portion from the power of intention, right? So this card is giving us a little bit of a warning. It's saying, okay, our home ground, we're going to potentially start feeling burden there, heaviness there. And maybe one way to circumnavigate that is to check into how spiritually grounded we are. Okay, so the first way we're going to read this spread is we are going to... Now remember, everything we read is going to be in relationship to that home ground, home base idea, which is the significator. But we're going to read this spread. Are we going to choose columns first or rows first? And I think we'll choose rows first. So let's look at what's above us, yeah? What's in our superconscious? What is spirit trying to tell us, maybe even? Yeah, and we go from right to left with the cross, the dog, and the lily. So the cross, we're going to start off with the cross again. And this is, again, our burden, maybe our fate, our destiny. Maybe this is where, if we place our attention, we can find some help from the divine. Yeah? Maybe we go with the cross being a spiritual meeting. Yeah? Our spirituality. Opening beyond our sorrow. Yeah? Opening to the intervention, the indwelling. That's the word I was looking for. The indwelling of spirit, from which we can resurrect. Because remember, the cross is not the end of the story. In the story of the Christian cross, which this deck comes from a Christian context, the cross is not the end of the story. It is the liminal space that begins the new story of resurrection, right? It's the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. And remember, when we read this card directionally, The card to the right of it, which would be here, is enforced. It's strengthened. So the next card is what? It's the dog. Yes, the dog. What is a dog? The dog is an animal friend. It's a loyal creature to us humans, right? We become, if relationships are well balanced, we become the alpha in the dog's pack, and the dog is loyal to us, protects us. We feed and we care for the dog. We exercise the dog. We allow the dog to have playtime. We support and we steward the dog, right? And the dog protects us, loves us, gives us loyalty, gives us comfort in return. And I'm not saying it's a transactional relationship necessarily, but there is that that give and take within the relationship between human and dog, right? So the dog means what? The dog is friendship, loyalty, reliability. It could be a male or female friend, a bud, a chum, a platonic friend. Sometimes it's read as the third party in a relationship, but we're not doing that kind of a reading, so that has nothing to do with our spread here. So the cross plus the dog, what is that telling us? I love this dog image. Now it looks like, what is it? It's not a spaniel, a beagle of some kind? I don't know. I don't recognize the breed. If you recognize the breed, let me know in the comments below. I love this little dog. So our spirituality, maybe, right? The indwelling, the breaking in of the divine and the intervention of the divine comes in the form of friendship and loyalty and reliability. And that is emphasized for us as well. Yeah? So maybe we recognize that the divine intervention is friendly, it's loyal. And our friendship and our loyalty are also enforced by the cross being over on this side of the card, right? These two together. They interact with each other. So our spirituality, we want to be loyal with it. We want to be reliable with it. We want to be friendly with the divine. Have a good relationship with the divine. And the next card brings us what? Why, right? What is the result? The result is the lily. What is the lily? The lily is an upright plant, an upright flower, a sturdy flower, right? It's used in both baptisms and funerals. This is a lovely image of a lily. Now, some lilies have single flowers on a single stem. This one has multiple flowers on one stem. But we don't read the lily, we don't read Lenormand cards the way that we would read tarot cards necessarily. Yeah? We're not looking for, well, this lily on this card has 5 flowers, whereas the lily card in this deck has only 1 flower. And so this one is more abundant, and we don't read Lenormand that way. At least I don't. So the lily is a card of harmony, of family. It can be sexuality. If you think of the feel of a lily flower, yeah, the petals of a lily flower, they're more sturdy, but they also have that petal sensuality to them, right? They're upright, they're sensual, there's a fleshy feeling to them. Have you touched a lily before? So there's that sensual sexuality of the lily as well. There's also the idea of maturity. And if we think of the playing card insert in the lily card, we have a man, right? The King of Spades, which gives us an older man, a mature man, maybe a mature lover, maybe a man with gravitas, and one who offers advice, a grandfather kind of figure, an elder. if you identify as male, whatever your body you inhabit, if you identify yourself as male and older, this could be you, I guess. It could be me. But I think in this spread, what we're looking at is, so we started with the cross, right? Our spirituality. This is from the divine, and how it is coming into our experience of our groundedness, our feeling stable in our private space. So we start off with the cross, which gave us now our spirituality, the indwelling of the divine, the beginning of a new divine journey, maybe, our new spiritual journey. And that is one of loyalty, and we want to be loyal and friendly with the divine, and we'll have a good, friendly, loyal, reliable relationship with the divine ourselves. This will bring us what? It will bring us harmony and maturity, which will help guide us through this coming week. Yes? So now we've got the next line of cards in the middle, and that's really what we're in the middle of. Now, this is what we're in the middle of, and we start off with the bear. What is the bear? The bear is strong. The bear is reliable. The bear is powerful, right? So, we want to be strong. We want to be supportive. We want to be the ones who can stand up and protect those around them and our space, because that's the next card, right? The next card is the space. So we want to be stable, grounded in our personal power, I think. And that's how we want to be in the world. And that might be challenging, especially if we're feeling burdened and heavy within our personal space of security. It might be hard to be able to stand up and be strong. But that's what I think we're being called to do right now. And then the next card is why? Because there's going to be some confusion. Yeah? The clouds. The clouds are what? The clouds are, they make it, if we're in the clouds, they make it difficult to see. Think of it like a fog. If you fly through clouds on an airplane, you know that the clouds cut off our ability to see see forward, behind, to the sides. Yeah, our visibility is cut off, so that causes confusion. Now, when this deck was created, there were no airplanes flying in the clouds. And still, we have the idea, traditionally, from the clouds, of confusion, right? Problems, delays, ambiguity. Things aren't quite certain. Yeah, we think of the clouds, also, if you think of the clouds, it's that they have shape, but that shape is not clear over time. Have you watched clouds move over you? Have you noticed how their shape changes as they move? There's that ambiguity over time of clouds. So we have ambiguity here too. They're also intangible, right? If you ever tried to grab a hold of a cloud, you know that you can't grab it and hold on to it. So there are all of those things: problems, delays, confusion, ambiguity, intangibility. So maybe that burden at home that we're talking about, our burden in our safe space, the burden in our home ground, our base ground, is what causes some confusion for us and makes us feel like the things that we're engaging with are ambiguous and maybe intangible. We can't really grasp hold of things because we don't have that boom, that power, right? So we are advised in our day-to-day activities to find our inner bear within and find our stability as the bear, because there's going to be some feeling of ambiguity, some confusion, some problems that we are going to be encountering in this coming week. And if we don't do that, then that feeling of burden within our safe space is going to be even stronger. Right? So now, what's happening below ground? What's happening underneath all of this? Well, we start off, this can be the unconscious, this could be the underlying reasons for this spread. We start off with the whip. This is a really nice whip for two reasons. One, we've got two different kinds of whips on this card. We've got one that looks like a broom. We've got one that looks like a rod. Right? A cat of nine tails, that's it, a cat of nine tails. So we've got both the idea of a broom and a cat of nine tails here, which gives us a couple of ways to remember that this card can go. It can go into the idea of like a flogging. Cat of nine tails, what do? They flog, they inflict harm, they punish, right? They goad even. The broom does what? We use it to do repetitive work, repetitive actions. We sweep, we sweep, we sweep, we sweep. It's not just one quick whoosh and the house is clean, right? We have to go bit by bit, over and over and over again, which reminds us of the things of routines, repetition, even exercise. So what is the whip? The whip is a card of repetitive actions, of purging. Now, we purge our house of dust and dirt by sweeping, right? It's purging. But it can also be arguments and tongue lashings. Oh, okay, which reminds me, I forgot, back up just a moment. The clouds card. Now remember, the clouds can also be read directionally. So, when we look at the clouds card, we see that one side is light and one side is dark. The side that is light gives us the direction or what can help us to find resolution to confusion, find resolution to ambiguity and intangibility. The dark side, that's what's going to be the cause of the problem, or what makes things more confusing, what makes things more difficult. Now, if you recall on the spread, the positioning of this card was like this, with this being the center and this being on the right. So there's nothing on the dark side of the clouds, so we don't know that, we're perhaps not meant to know that. But the part that gives us, or the card that gives us some enlightenment, that helps the clouds part and dissolve even, is the house. So when we do encounter some confusion, when we do encounter some problems and ambiguity, we want to returning to our home ground, our home base, our place where we feel secure is what is going to help dissipate those clouds. Right? Now let's go back to the bottom here with the whip. So this is, again, repetitive, purging, clearing things out. Also arguments and tongue lashing, struggle. Communication with pressure included. Also exercise. Now we've got a jack here at the top, right? The jack means it could be a younger man, maybe a lawyer, maybe a student, but a younger man with a really sharp, clear mind who is aggressive, who communicates aggressively. Is perhaps a little bit troubled, perhaps a bit sharp-tongued, and speaks without regard to consequences. Yeah, that's what this guy is. So if you got somebody like that in your life, maybe this guy is the cause of some of your problems. If not, where are we going with this? I think right now we're looking at the underlying reason for this is arguments, perhaps, or a communication that is not supportive or uplifting, right? And it's that kind of argumentative atmosphere and power struggles, perhaps, or not gentle communication, which might be causing that confusion that we're talking about up in our day-to-day lives. And this card is followed by the book card, which, remember, the book card is the card of things that are both published and also closed. What do I mean? A book. What is a book? A book is communication from one person, not to one other person, but to many other people. It's a way to disseminate information to a large number of people, even at the time of the publishing of this deck. And when I say this deck, I mean the original Lenormand deck. So it's that kind of transmission of information from one to many, but also remember that at that time, the number of literate people in society was higher than it was several hundred years before then, but not as high as now. So there's still that idea of the written word being somewhat secret and a puzzle to many people. Now, to the people who would have this deck in hand, most of those people would be literate. Yeah, this is not the card. These cards were not used generally by the poor or those who did not have access to education. These were cards that were used by the bourgeois, the middle class, who generally had access to information, and even the women at that time, I believe, were taught to read for that class. Yeah, whereas centuries before, women were not, a woman who read was not considered to be really a proper woman, right? They're going beyond the roles of their sex. But at the time of the publication of this deck, we've already got, I think, generally women reading. And there were books by women for women. Right? So we've got some literacy at the time of the publication of the original Lenormand decks. But still, we've still got the idea of secrets. The book is closed, especially in this deck, the book is closed. So what is the book? It's secrets, things that are not shown yet. And sometimes what is hidden will be revealed. That might be a good thing. It might be something that makes us unhappy, but it still is usually a good thing to know what the reasons are, what the secrets are. The book is also a book of knowledge. It's also something that is sometimes closed, but can be opened. It can be study. It can be learning. In this positioning, right after the whip card or the broom card, I think we're talking the underlining meaning is that there's information that has not been revealed yet, that is perhaps causing or the source of or making more problematic the elements of the whip card, which are what? Power struggles, arguments, unkind communication. Yeah? The cause of that environment can be because there are secrets, or we might not be entirely aware of the power struggle that's going on, or the arguments that are going on, or the communication that is unkind. That might be happening without our being aware of it. And I want to jump back to the book card in just a moment, because I read the book card directionally. But first, so what do we have? We've got perhaps secret arguments, secret unkind communication, secret power struggles, right? Why? The next card, the last card, is the tree. Yes? The tree is what? The tree is something that grows. It's healthy. And then if it's positioned well, it is our health, our good health, but it can also be poor health, depending on the cards that are surrounding it. It's also our roots, our traditions, our ancestry. Now we think of the reed has truths. The tree has roots, and the roots go down into the ground, and those are our ancestors, right? They are our traditions. They're another sense of groundedness, too. They could also be the three levels of being, like body, mind, and spirit. They could be our well-being. Excuse me. There are also some things that start small, but over time they grow. Yes. So I think right now for these three cards, we're being pointed towards maybe some secret power struggles, arguments, unkind communication that started small, but it's growing. Yeah? And that growing is maybe what is causing us to feel burdened within our sacred space. Well, sacred space maybe, but our safe space, our home space, our home base is feeling burdened by this perhaps secret unkind communication and power struggle that has been growing over time. Now, I said I wanted to go back to the book just because I read this directionally, right? So the card that is on the side of the binding, and the binding is on this side, right, is the thing that is not going to be revealed. The card that's on this side is the thing that can be revealed or will be revealed soon. So we have these three cards together. Let me see if I can pick them up without dropping them and hold them for you together. Now let's see, is that correct? That is correct. That's correct. So on the side of the binding of the book, we have the whip. So we might never really find out the full extent of whatever arguments or power struggles are going on. That could be closed to us. But what is open to us is that whatever is happening is growing. So that can be revealed to us, the growth of whatever it is. But that whatever it is, at least right now, looks like it is going to remain unknown to us. But we will know that whatever is going wrong or is not comfortable or is not beneficial, it has been growing. Does that make sense? You feel that we can sense that the problem is growing without really knowing exactly what the problem is. Because remember, right above the tree, there is that confusion. There is that ambiguity. There's uncertainty. Right? Okay, now we're going to read these cards in columns. Yes, let's read the cards and columns. So the column on the left is the past, the column in the center is the present, the column on the right is the future. So let's look at the column on the left. That's the cross, the bear, and the whip. The cross, the bear, and the whip. What is this telling us? Well, it's telling us that, now remember, the thing that is underneath the cross is the thing that is weighed down. Right? So the idea of burden is increased. So our strength is being burdened down. Our strength. That's why our strength in our home space, which was in that middle column, is so important for circumnavigating the difficulties of this spread, is because right now our strength is being burdened down. Our being able to support other people is burdened down. It's being burdened down by repeated, some routines maybe, or some repeated actions that are not giving us life. Right? They're weighing us down. So maybe we want to take a peek at, and that's what has been in the past. So maybe we've had some routines, some repetitive actions, some things that we do on a daily or weekly basis that have just been sapping us of our strength, burdening us. Yeah? And maybe that's what got us into this position. So in the present, what's happening right now is our dog and home and book. Right? So maybe now we're looking at our friends. Yeah, our friends, those are who are loyal to us. Our people around us who are loyal to us, they are our blessing. Right? They are our stability. They're our base ground, and we want to take good care of them. And we want to do that, and in so doing that, maybe what has been hidden can be revealed. So maybe in the present, what will help us right now is talking to our friends about what is weighing us down. And maybe that can help us reveal the secret, part of the secret of the burden we're feeling at home. So maybe it's telling us to get it off of our chest. Get this feeling of burden off of our chest. Yeah? And I almost said take advantage of our friends, but we don't want to keep it from our friends. We want to allow our friends to be our sounding boards, to help us work out what's going on. And then in the future, what will happen? Well, we've got the lily, we got the clouds and the tree. Right? So in the future, our harmony, our maturity, which has been clouds, feeling some ambiguity, our confusion has been has been weakening, has been softening our upright, virtuous maturity, can begin to grow again, like the tree. Yeah? We'll begin to find its stability and its well-being in the future. If we can if we talk with our friends. Purge. Yeah, does that make sense? Hey, we've been reading this spread for a while without break now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you the spread once more, so you can see the spread all in one bit, and try and, I've given you a lot of information. Maybe try and assemble that information in that spread. And then we'll come back and we'll read the spread in a couple of different ways. And in the meantime, I'm going to get a sip of something to drink, like coffee, okay? So friends, take a look at the spread and I'll be right back. And we'll read the spread in a different way. Here it is. Here's the spread. So friends, we're going to start off with reading the corners. Yeah? And remember, the corners, they kind of form an X through the spread. So the first corners we're going to read are the cross through the house into the trees. So we're connecting these two cards first, the cross and the tree. This is to give another layer of information. So I think we've got two different paths here. One is, our spirituality. We have the potential for our spirituality to grow like the tree. Slowly, we don't expect quick bursts of growth, but we can anticipate slow and steady growth of spirituality through this challenge that we're feeling in our home space. Or, if we don't manage this spread well, if we don't manage this time well, I should say, we will feel the burdens in our home space growing. And maybe some decrease in our well-being. So I'm not saying, watch out, you're going to get sick. I'm not saying that, but we have two possible paths to tread. One of them being the path of spirituality, that of growing spirituality, and one of them being ignoring that and watching the burden increase and the accompanying lessening of our well-being. Yeah? So, the next part, or the next pair of cards we're going to read as a cross were from the lily and the tree. Remember, the lily is up here and the tree is down here. So what is that telling us? It's telling us that our harmony, our virtue, our maturity there's conflict in there. Right? There is maybe our virtue is under attack. If you've noticed for yourself that your virtue, however you describe your own virtue, if you feel like your virtue is under attack, this is definitely a spread for you. Are your values under attack? And I can see that especially if you're living in the United States, a lot of us are feeling that a lot these days, especially beginning around January 21st in the United States. Yeah? Many of us have been feeling whatever we self-describe as our virtue being attacked. Yeah? Whether we're completely aware of it or not, we're probably feeling the effects of that. Okay, so maybe this spread is telling us more about the reason why we're feeling burdened inside of ourselves is because we're not fully aware of the effects of the socio-political environment on us right now. And maybe we can't be fully aware of that. But our awareness might grow over time. And so we want to pay attention to how we are managing ourselves in our safe space, in our homes, in our direct environment, in our base ground, so that we don't bring that burden into our private spaces. Yeah? Okay, so we read those two corners, right? Now we're going to read what's called the diamond. And so the cards that are involved in the diamond are, starting at the top center, are the dog, and then the bear, and then the clouds, and the book. There are people who read this diamond in different ways. The way that I was taught, and the way that I'm going to continue reading the diamond, is going to be in pairs instead of all four. And so I'm going to pull out the dog and the bear first. And so we want to make sure that we are in good relationship with our strong, supportive friends. Strong, supportive friends, yeah? Strong, supportive friends. And that we are strong and supportive for our friends. We want to have good, strong, supportive friendships at this time, particularly when we are moving through this space of socio-political economic impact. Yeah? And we can be supportive to our friends, and we want to get support from our friends. In fact, I just had a really interesting interaction with a friend online, because a lot of my friends are in the United States or elsewhere, not in Korea. Since I have moved myself away from my home base and live in South Korea, a lot of my friends are still in the United States. And so I was having an interaction with one of my friends who had made a comment that got me a little worried. The comment seemed to indicate that she was feeling the effects of some reduction in her personal rights as a human being. And that worried me, and so I reached out to her. And it turned out that I misread what she was trying to say, but she was grateful that I was reaching out in a curious way, not in oh my God. She was appreciative that I was not concerned, but I was that I was concerned, curious, and supportive. And I think that's what these two cards here are reminding us of, to be concerned, curious, supportive. We don't want to smother friends with protection. We want to be curious about their well-being, be supportive of them, and be there for them, and allow them to do the same for us, right? And then the next two cards we have are the clouds and the book. So what is that telling us? That our confusion, the ambiguity, is not clear to us. Right? There's a secret element to that maybe we're just not going to know. And maybe we need to be okay with that. But that's okay, because we've got good, loyal friends, and we can be good, loyal friends to help support us in our home base, in our stability, in our security, right? There's another way that we can read this spread. It's knighting. So what are we curious about? What is the thing? Okay, so maybe we can try and find out what the secret is. So maybe we want to know the thing that seems to be, two things that seem to be really ambiguous are the book and the clouds, right? The book, what is the secret? So maybe we could try exploring the knights from this for that. So what is knighting? Knighting, like chess, the knight moves either 2 up or down. They move 2 in one direction, and then they make a left-hand turn or a right-hand turn and move 1. Yeah, 1. Or they move 1 in one direction and then 2 over or 2 over, right? And it can't stop anywhere in between. The knight can go up 1 and over 2 and stop, and that's the move, or it can go up 2 and over 1 and stop. Now, because the book is where it is, we can only go, there are 2 directions we could go. We could go up 2 and over 1, or we can go over 1 and up 2. And interesting, they will both lead us to the same pairing of cards, which is what? The cross and the lily. The book knights to the cross and the lily. So what is that? What is this telling us? The secret is our virtue is going to be a burden for us. Heck, maybe that's the title for this video. The secret of the burden of virtue. The spiritual burden of virtue. Maybe the spiritual burden of virtue. Something like that. Yeah? Maybe that's the title of this spread, because because why? I think this is the purpose of the spread now. Okay, so remember, we're here in our house. The whole spread is based on the house, right? Our sense of stability, security, where we are grounded, right? Our home base. And there's a problem here that we want to traverse to be able to live our lives intentionally. And the problem here is what? It's the burden of virtue. It's the burden of virtue. And we may not be entirely aware of it. Because why? These days we've been living in an increasing time of conflict, of political, social aggression, of threats of removal of rights, of removal of personhood, of removal of, and a dirtying of the individual who is not part of the white, Christian, cis, straight, male-dominated society. That is growing. And if you're watching this video, you are probably not 100% on board with this trend in Western English-speaking societies. And this trend is growing. And many of our friends are beginning to, and probably we as well, we and many of our friends are beginning to feel insecure about their personhood. Whether it's because of their race, the color of their skin, whether it's because of their sexuality, whether it's because of their gender, or the fluidity of their gender, whether it's because of their sex being not male, whether it's because of their religion, whether it's because they are protective of people who are feeling insecure. All of these things are eating away, and I'm surprised the mice didn't show up here today, are eating away at our sense of stability, our base ground, and our security. And if you are one of us who is feeling that, the things that this spread seems to be indicating, know that I am here for you. Know that there are many people here for you, for me, for us. And I don't know what's going to be happening in this coming week. And it does, you know what? The spread doesn't really seem to be pointing to some big explosion of anything particular. It seems to be a growing unease, a growing burden, a growing sense of weight within our private spaces. And the call to be strong, loyal, mature, to be friend to other and allow other to be friend to us in a virtuous way. And when I say virtue, it's the virtue of personal morality. Because whether you are, and I've got a list here, whether you are Christian, you are, and I mean Christian in the broadest sense, including Roman Catholic, Greek Orthodox, Russian Orthodox, all of those things that follow the teachings of Christ through the New Testament of the Bible, etc. And the saints or not. So Christian, Jewish, Muslim, Buddhist, Jainist, Hindu, traditional animistic, or any of the religious possibilities that are out there, whether we're members of any of those or not. If you're a member of the religion of atheism, and I'm sorry, that is to me a disorganized religion. It's a belief. Because there is no proof, you cannot prove the absence of anything, including God. You cannot prove that. So, atheism is also a belief system. Whatever we identify ourselves as in this broad spectrum of possibilities, we are called to discern our own individual virtue and morality. And our individual virtue grows from and through our individual understanding of morality. And there are some of us out there who have not developed a sense of morality or ethics, and they are different. And hopefully, and I don't think I'm talking to any of those people right now, because if you were one of those people, you would not have stuck through this video. Yeah? If you're still here, I know that you have a framework of virtue, of morality, from which your own individual virtue has grown like a lily. And these times, it is that which is going to be that growth in the future is going to dispel the clouds that we are confusing us because of the secret or the unknown depths and breadth of the power struggle and the argumentative, unkind communication that is going on in the world right now. Does that make sense? If it does, let me know in the comments below. If it does not, let me know in the comments below. I had no idea this spread was going in this direction, but now I see why it has, and I hope it is a benefit for us. I hope it is a benefit for all of us, in this coming week especially. And I don't know why, but that's what I see. So, here we go, friends. In just a moment, my QR code and the website for my online tarot reading shop will appear. If you want to get a private reading from me, go on over there. Or you can send me an email to thehangedmaninthemoon@gmail.com. Okay? And particularly, because we've gotten this reading for us this week, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. And know, I am here for you. And thank you.